Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful 30th of March, 2021. Coming up on the Crusty Canuck podcast, episode 111, Integrity. Where did it go? All that and more political blunders coming up. Stick around.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues and life. Here's Crusty.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, March 30th, 2021. Integrity, where did it go? Well, based on recent news events, when it comes to government vaccines, when it comes to procurement, when it comes to money, when it comes to social injustices happening here in Canada and down the United States, it's a good question to ask. And just a reminder, too, listener discretion is advised, ladies and gentlemen. I like to use big, bad, nasty swear words, and this podcast is meant for adults. So listener discretion is advised. Anyway, carrying on with integrity, where did it go? Well, that's a good question. Where is it? Where is it in these trying times? Now, 3 days ago, I talked about Mr. Jonathan Wilkinson, the environment minister that sat there and promoted the happy dance when it comes to getting another tax out of people, even though this country is facing economic uncertainty when it comes to jobs, procurement, oil, other resources, keeping people at work, keeping people afloat. And yet the same party liked to table legislation called, I believe, C-273, basically legislation that gives people universal basic income. So basically more government handouts for people who really don't need it, but for people who want it. But the consensus will be later on, people will be getting reliant on it. So here's another handout to win brownie points for the upcoming supposed election that hasn't been called yet, but we can feel that it's rearing its ugly head anytime soon. And if you like and hear what you see, ladies and gentlemen, please click like, subscribe, share this around, get the algorithm going. Help us independent folk get our words out there. So you, the listener, consumer, and believer in all things that are free and good, can get other points of view other than the mandated social media mainstream efforts and what we see in the boob tube every goddamn day. So I, your host, Crusty Canuck, please click like, subscribe, and share all that good stuff. And we're carrying on with more integrity. So in recent news, as I mentioned in my last episode, they're talking about a pay increase. Okay, another pay increase. So effective April 1st, we got the carbon tax, another carbon tax to help us along our way in saving the world from the environmental catastrophe. And politicians lining their pockets again. So an average pay increase, about $6,400 a year per cabinet minister. It must be nice, eh? It must be nice to have that position in Parliament and that position anywhere in government to okay a raise and not worry about the people you represent, not worry about your constituents, not worry about people in your riding. Oh, no, of course not. What matters is my paycheck and me sitting in a comfy office and living a good life at the expense of the Canadian taxpayer. So, integrity, where is it? Where is it? It's a funny thing. I had a call this morning from a party. They've called me before, numerous times. And last year I gave them some money when I had it, to help them along their way and all that kind of stuff too. And this guy would not fucking let up. Now, I told him I didn't have the money to give. Plus, I'm not a member of said party anymore. And they said, oh, you're registered. Yeah, I was registered, but I gave up my membership about a year ago. I think just after the time I gave them a donation of about $60. And I left that party, and that party is a conservative party, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? I left that party. I just stopped paying the membership. I just didn't pay any of my card, nothing. I just, fuck it, I'm done. And what gets me is that my wife is a conservative, but that's her thing. And I respect her for it. And it's one of the reasons why I love her, too, because she stands her fucking grounds. But these guys just wouldn't let up. And I told them exactly. It's like, well, no, I am not going to contribute because I'm not part of it anymore. I'm not part of your group. I'm not part of your tribe. I'm not part of it. Right? And this guy wouldn't let up. Now, regardless if he was getting paid to do this work or he's volunteering or he has to have a certain amount of quota, he has to get every other fucking day based on the so-called non-campaign/campaign marketing scheme, right? It just wouldn't let up. And I got to the point where I was very stern with him and said, look, I'm uninterested. And in fact, I'll be running against you. I'll be running against you lot come this next election. So he kind of sat there and he paused and thought, I never heard your party before. Well, you know it now. Look it up. And I hung up the phone. All right. And then I texted my wife and I said, yeah, the Conservatives might call you around 5:30 tonight. So needless to say, ladies and gentlemen, it's coming out of the woodwork. Now, I'm not going to sit and just pinpoint one party. Of course, we can all agree that the liberal brand in this country has gone to absolute shit. Okay, in the name of spending. We can all agree on that. Conventional wisdom would tell us, yeah, they've spent way too goddamn much with no return. Right? They haven't tabled a budget in the better part of 2 years. Okay, they're the first ones to point fingers and ridicule when the moment you question their abilities or their attitudes or their efforts, right? They'll pull out the old, stop being so sexist, or stop being misogynist, or stop being racist, stop being xenophobic, stop being Islamophobic, right? When you question their ability to govern. And they have lost their credibility as far as I'm concerned, right? So hypothetically, say they call an election today, and let's say Justin gets in again because of all the freebies and handouts, okay? To all those individuals that would sit there and graciously appreciate those handouts, how long do you think they're going to last? Right? Oh, he's giving me free money. He's giving me free benefits. Oh, we get the vaccines. Oh, my God, he's looked after border security. Oh, my God, he's looking after the environment. Oh. And then one time you go to your mailbox and you don't find your UBI check or your CERB check or your other little perks. And then what? I guess your comfort gets compromised.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Crusty Canuck here, carrying on with integrity. Where did it go? Again, you can sit here and be like that little donkey in a Little Rascals episode that's being led to go forward based on a carrot and a stick, a little string in front of the donkey, and donkey's walking forward, that animated kind of feature you used to see in cartoons and stuff too. Is that where we're heading? Is that how the government treats us? Well, it also brings my point too, but whole vaccine passports that Miss Haydu affectionately discussed there on CTV News there back on March 8th. And I got a link of that I'll put in the description. And how they're working with the idea of having vaccine passports. Now, to the people I've talked to that have actually had their quote-unquote shots or their jabs, okay? Yeah, they're still told that they can't go to certain places or do certain things because of said jab and shots. So if this vaccine works, then why can't people have the freedom to fucking move around? Right? Why is that still such a big no-no? Okay? I watched a story today with Rex Murphy, ex-CBC aficionado, and he hosts his own channel, Rex TV, on YouTube, and he's quite the contributor to the National Post. He had a discussion with Barbara Kay, a renowned writer, activist, and just a down-to-earth human being. And they discussed the whole vaccine issue. And it's phenomenal how you can take a shot and a jab and still not be able to move around and do what the hell you want to goddamn do. So here are these people who are actually getting their shots, and they're still told how to maintain social distance and wear your mask and do what have you, right? And what's the point of getting a vaccine to stop the spread of this respiratory illness that has a survival rate of 99%, and yet you're still being told what to do, when to wipe, when to do this and when to pick your nose and all this good stuff. Yes, all in the name of safety again. And you've heard me ramble on about safety, right?
Join the Liberal Party of Canada. We'll tell you what to think, what to do, how to wipe, how to pick your nose, all in the name of safety.
And yet people still have to walk around clueless, right? It's getting to a point, ladies and gentlemen, where there is no integrity in anything because there's obviously no accountability in these leaders. And it doesn't matter if you're a leader in the health department, doesn't matter if you're a leader in a city government, provincial government, or the federal government as we see it too. We're seeing that trouble in the States as well now too. To my American friends, to that individual that shot up those massage parlors in Atlanta, right? And 6 of his victims happen to be Asian. All of a sudden now it's called Asian hate crime, okay? It's racism against Asian people. And apparently, as far as I knew, the shooter himself even confessed to the fact that he did it because of his inadequacies, of his sexual addictions, apparently. He didn't do it based on race. But the media, of course, is going to turn that way and turning into a race crime or a race battle or a race war. Kind of like what Charlie Manson was trying to do back in the 1960s, right? All of this stuff based on narratives and hearsay rather than the actual facts. And how many times in history have you found a killer that's been caught and confessed to his crimes? This young piece of shit did. What he did was terrible, you know? And what was said about the individual that shot up those 10 people in Colorado, right? What was said about that? What was done about that? It doesn't matter if they're white people, it doesn't matter if they're black people. Here's a guy from this group of society killing another group of society in the name of what? Huh? Was that racially motivated? Was that spiritually motivated? Oh no, it's not his fault. It's the gun's fault. And the individual that shut up Atlanta, oh well, it's a race fault. You know, it's not the gun's fault. It's him. You know, so which is it? Right? Where's the integrity in trying to find the honesty in these stories? Right? It's not there. No, because it's about a different narrative. It's about projecting so-called hatred and so-called racism. Right? I've worked with lots of Asians in my life, ladies and gentlemen. I had one hell of an Asian guy that was my mentor in my teen years. He taught me the finer points of cooking, the finer points of work and discipline, and doing a job to the best of your ability. And if you're listening, Mr. Chow, thank you. Thank you very much for your insight, your kindness, for giving a kid like me at the time a job and giving me a sense of purpose, other than just hanging out being a dude, right? So there's that narrative for you, ladies and gentlemen. You know? And I can honestly say I think the majority of Canadians do not walk around pointing fingers at different ethnicities. We've got government officials that do that for us on a regular basis.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
Now let's hear a word from my sponsors.
In October of 2015, Lindsay Robbins, like many of her fellow Canadians, was struggling with the turmoil of mental illness. The ups and downs of what she was going through was shaping her realities, and she longed for structure. As luck would have it, that structure presented itself to her in the form of gardening. And through gardening, Lindsay had an awakening that led her to create Produce for Heroes. Lindsay realized that our veterans were going through their own mental struggles, and through her own experience, she realized the power of community. By desiring to help the way that she had been helped, she has created a program that provides relief to veterans. Her food program, which aims to provide veterans and their families relief from the stresses of food insecurity and help alleviate the cost of living for those that have sacrificed so much for their country. Whether it's through directly contacting Produce for Heroes or through a friend's referral, all veterans and their families living in Canada are welcome. By shining a light on the struggle of veterans and their families, Lindsay is hoping to get her fellow Canadians to hop on board and support Produce for Heroes and our great veterans. If you or a veteran you know needs help, ProduceForHeroes.com is a great place to start.
This is Brian Boucher, the new CEO of Canuck Gold Corp. We have gold at 99% purity with discounts ranging from $100 up to $200 off the ounce. This is the right place to buy, from 2-gram cards to 400-ounce bricks. We have any quantity of gold you are looking for. We also sell by the ton, not like your ex-wife. Visit us today at canudgold.com, C-A-N-U-N-D gold.com.
Well, smack my ass and call me Judy.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you can reach Brian and Scott at canudgold.com and Lindsay at produceforheroes.com. You can find the links on my sponsor heading in the description. And we're carrying on. Integrity, where did it go? Well, that's still a good question. Where did it go, ladies and gentlemen? Where did the integrity go when you go and buy a newspaper and you read a headline that might catch your attention without political garbage? Where did the integrity go when you turn on your television and you watch mainstream media and you're watching other stories other than COVID models and half-assed experts, especially experts who haven't practiced medicine the better part of 10 years, telling us how to live again? Okay, where did the integrity go when you look at a politician talking about spending, line their own pockets, and no one questions it? Where did the integrity go when you have all this social justice mandates telling us what we have to say, when to say it, right? just to make a handful of people comfortable and safe. Oh, yeah. Where's the debates and discussions on that? So I think we've lost our integrity, ladies and gentlemen. I think we've lost it. It's there somewhere, still here. I know, I'm looking under my seat. Hello, integrity. Hello, you here? Hello, integrity. Yeah. Hello, you there? Hello. Somewhere. No, I'm being a little too ad lib here, but it's there, folks. And it's just, we have to start pushing these individuals to make it happen. Okay? We have to demand it, right? Every government since 1968 has said, oh, we are transparent. Well, how transparent is this government? And I'm also talking about the provincial government too, which brings me to the next point about how some city councillors in a city in Canada here has said some horrendous and rotten things, right? A fan of mine sent me a great ton of emails, and I want to thank you, sir. I'm not going to mention your name on the show. I'll mention the person within the email, of course, the city council you're talking about, but out of respect to your privacy and integrity, and I guess the way things are working now, your security, I'll keep your name quiet. But this fan sent me some great emails in regards to masks, mandates, what have you, and just the so-called mentality of these so-called know-it-alls who have insight on everything that is good, right? And here it goes. Yes, so this individual made a point on talking about, I'll summarize it. It's quite the long email here. But this individual made a point, too, in regards to what the Nazis did with experimentation during the Second World War. And I'll summarize it here, and then I will read the response that Mr. Wayne Campbell, city councilor in Niagara Falls, said to this individual. So my fan here wrote, natural law was considered central to the legal theory of the prosecution of these Nazi doctors during the Nuremberg trials. Natural law is a view that certain rights or values are inherent in or universally recognized by virtue of human reason or human nature. Since natural law, whose guiding principles are set by nature, are considered self-evident and have validity everywhere, the prosecution felt that it could serve as a standard to criticize the laws established by the Nazi nightmare regime. The prosecution had to rely on natural law theory because most of the actions of the Nazi doctors were recognized as being legal under the judicial system of the Third Reich. In fact, the Nazi defendants claimed they were merely following the established laws of the nation. Yes, following the orders. Jawohl. How does that sound familiar? In addition to claiming they were acting within the law, the Nazi doctors justified their actions by what they considered to be the moral reasons. To mention a few, law takes precedence over ethics. The good of the many is more important than the good of the few. National emergencies supersede ethics to improve societal by social engineering. The doctors in Germany took Hippocratic oath, yet they knowingly violated the Hippocratic principle to do no harm. Canadian doctors are in violation of the Hippocratic principle of do no harm. Since the doctors in Nazi Germany were guided by utilitarian moral principles, they did not need to consider informed consent. The utilitarian moral code has no need to consider informed consent. If the more social good was to be gained without securing agreement, that was all that matters, and viewed as morally legitimate. On the Munson, page 492. According to Kantian principles, the category imperative, people cannot be forced to accept treatment or be subject to medical experimentation for the good of the majority. The Nazis' experiments on human subjects were all documented. There were so many doctors at so many camps during a wide range of cruel, unethical experiments. Even medical students were afforded the opportunity to practice and operate on people regarding their discipline. I can't speak English today. One can imagine for the research scientists of sponsoring pharmaceutical companies, this was paradise. Imagine having an endless supply of live human materials on which to test any medical hypothesis. Right? And here's some underquotes. We should not feel the need to participate in any medical experiment for the sake of progress. Now, this came from a World War II educational document, the Medical Ethics Text, Chapter 7, Human Experimental Readings. So I'll leave a link to that too if you want. The Belmont Report will hopefully assist in resolving the ethical problems that surround the conduct of research within human subjects. These guidelines stress 3 ethical principles: respect for persons, autonomy of the individual. Individuals with diminished autonomy are entitled to protection. Beneficence, the obligation to do no harm and to maximize possible benefits. Justice and fairness. Right? So this goes on. I'll leave this link if you like it in the description there, folks. But basically, he's talking about the ethics of today's medicine and the practices that are going on. And he wrote this with passion and explained this to this city councillor by the name of, Wayne Campbell. And there's more here. He says, "Thank you, greatly appreciated. However, I find your comments extremely negative, prejudiced, verging on slander. You need to seek help. Please call 211 and get back to me." Right? And this counselor has this little letter heading under his emails. You know, you've all seen it before. Every time you see a professional email sent by an official here, official there, there's usually a catchy quote at the bottom. Right? Now he says, this is what he says after he signs his emails: "If we appreciate that oneness of humankind is an inescapable reality rather than a naive ideal, then we will not be surprised that ignoring the suffering of others, let alone causing it, will always come back to haunt us. It's called bad karma. And we, as members of the human race, will continue to repeat the history of inescapable suffering until we no longer exist." Right. So if he says that all the time, can he not realize that maybe he's part of the problem and fails to see his light at the end of the tunnel for the solution? So anyway, my fan carries on, was saying to him, let's see, this is dated yesterday. "Holocaust justification consists of explaining that the Jews caused their enemies anti-Semitism and therefore were responsible for their own latter destruction. Believers in karma believe Jewish native genocides were justified because it was caused by their own karma. I can't believe how evil and horrendous this belief is. Seriously fucked up." And I agree, Mr. Fan. I do agree. How does that justify anything? Really, what a terrible logic. And of course, this Mr. Wayne Campbell goes on and says, "Oh, thank you." That was it. So I've got more emails here in this conversation, but it just goes to show this guy thinks of himself as some kind of fucking hero. Right? And, well, he also justifies why my fan there justifies why politicians who claim that lockdowns would cause no harm need to be held accountable. Right? He tries to justify why these politicians shouldn't be accounted. So basically, he sent the email to him, and Mr. Campbell's response was, "Thank you, Derek. So what is your point? You say tomato, I say tomato. If the majority of the scientific population agreed with you, I would be more than willing to take this into the next level. However, you're obviously in the minority. If you're really serious about what you are writing, I would suggest that you need to help those less fortunate. You can't blow and suck at the same time." Right? And this is coming from a city official. Now, this goes quite on. I got pages from this individual. And I want to thank you again there, sir, for sending me those emails. But it's hard to keep up with all the emails you're sending me in regard to this, too. There's other formats you can look at. But needless to say, he goes on to tell this city official in Niagara Falls, Mr. Wayne Campbell, how it's unfair, how what's going on is terrible. And rightfully so. And to all my listeners out there, I encourage you to do the same thing with your city and with your provincial officials too. Get out there and talk about what's going on. Get out there and tell them how pissed off you are and how this isn't right. And it isn't. It isn't fucking right. It's not right at all.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
Mama always said I had a face for radio.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Crusty Canuck back here with you. Integrity, where did it go? Right? Even today, I could not stand to sit and watch Mr. Potato Puppet, Mr. Running Dog himself, Mr. Potato, Justin Trudeau, talking more and more of these updates and everything. Now, when you look at the history of this party, okay, and it seems like every other episode that I'm putting out here, I'm always slamming the liberal model. Well, maybe it's because at one time I used to be what you call, well, still am somewhat, the classical liberal. Libertarian values, live and let live. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you do. I will defend your fucking right to do it. Right? And these are the same people that have elected and appointed people to censor our internet, to censor our news streams, and any kind of media site, and what we watch in television. These are the same people that say taxing people into prosperity is a good thing, right? They hire males and females based on parity, not based on actual qualifications, and they promote what they call a move forward or changing forward into let's regress, let's do some more regression, let's step backwards, and if people don't agree with our mandate, then we'll just call them dirty fucking names. Okay, and I've given you tons of examples earlier in regards to this. Okay, these individuals just really have no clue when it comes to national security. They have no clue when it comes to looking after the environment properly, because they haven't tabled any emotions when it comes to how we can be a little more self-sufficient, right? Because, they might have to give up some kind of government monopoly on that. Oh, heaven forbid. How are they going to justify that $6,400 raise this year, right? So to me, it's obvious that they incorporate another tax to line their pockets. They didn't incorporate the tax to save the environment. They have no intentions of getting the vaccines rolled out, because it was in the news today, too, that some of the AstraZenecas are causing blood clots. And that was speculation about a month ago, right? So now the mainstream media says it. Now people are up in arms. Oh, my God, how could you give this to us? And that's where that $1.5 million that comes from the States. Now, I'm not blaming the Americans for that, but I'll blame Joe and Kamala. Yeah, damn right I will. Right? But then what do I know? I'm just some crusty Canuck.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Feel free to donate too. I updated my website, so go to crustycanuck.ca. You will find the link donations on the top page there. Click on that. And I take PayPal, credit card payments, whatever you like. I'm not going to demand coin. I'm not going to demand this, but if you feel like donating, please do. I'd like to make this a full-time commitment, so I need your help. And listeners and watchers and viewers and fans out there alike, please consider donating today. And please consider checking out my shop at customizedgirl.com. Look for Crusty Canuck. I've got sweatshirts, hats, mugs, swimsuits, shorts, other trinkets with the Crusty Canuck brand. So please check it out and bring home some Crusty Canuck swagger to yourself today. Which brings me to the next point. I had a few comments on my Facebook page from some maybe potential customers or just professional victims. I don't know. But I had one clown, and this was funny. Like I say, I'm not going to give away his name. He's not worth the time. But one clown giving me a hard time for trying to sell something from taking money from good, hardworking Canadians. And when I checked out this person's profile, he had no indication of what he was actually doing. So we'll just say he's a troll. But since when is it a crime to want to make money for a living? To actually put something out there for the general public to decide if they want to buy it or not? Since when is that a crime? Eh? When is that a fucking big deal? How is that terrible? And to the other individual that was sitting there comparing my coffee mug to what they did in Germany many moons ago. I'm like, really? So I told this individual that if you're going to assume I'm a Nazi because I'm, a patriot and I love my country, and I'm selling items from my store, with patriotic stuff on it, then you might as well just assume that every person that stands 6.5 feet must be a member of the NBA. Okay? And I just told him, don't be a douche. And I haven't heard anything from him since, so I really don't care. I blocked their asses. See, that's the thing, folks, we got to put online. And I don't really care about trolls. I've had a lot of SJWs and so-called rights activists here and rights activists there, and we'll just call them professional victims, because every time I turn around when someone's protesting something, it's all about their feelings getting hurt. Oh, my goodness. What's going to happen to the world now if I don't get my way? I need to be comfortable 24/7.
Join today's NDP. We'll keep moving the goalposts. You don't walk the line for us, we'll call you racist, misogynistic, xenophobic, homophobic. We look for racism in everything. Please, join the NDP today. And subscribe and donate. Please, walk our line. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're NDP officials, but they're not cut too differently from the same cloth, ladies and gentlemen. Which brings me to the Canadian Polar Vortex recipient of today's episode. So Yes, of course, after thinking about it for a while, of course, pondering over the past 24 hours, there's maybe one person that I can think of today's episode that will, strike a nerve with polar vortex aficionados out there.
The Canadian polar vortex of bullshit.
Yes, and after really thinking about it, thinking really, really hard, who deserves the Canadian Polar Vortex Bullshit Award for today's episode is none other than, wait for it, Miss Elizabeth May of the Green Party, former leader of the Green Party of Canada. Yes, there was a picture going around on Facebook where she's sitting in a private jet with a family member or a loved one or somebody, which is irrelevant to me, but needless to say, she's the recipient of the polar vortex of Canadian bullshit as far as I'm concerned, because she advocated no oil, let's ban fossil fuels, let's ban this, and yet here she is flying around on a private jet. So not only are you a hypocrite, Miss Elizabeth May, well, you're just a cow. So congratulations, Miss May, on your...
The Canadian polar vortex of bullshit.
Well done on that award. Well deserved. Anyway, carrying on with more integrity. Where did it go? Right? A story was brought to me by a fan about a month or so ago in regards to the beer bug being I can't speak English today. The beer bug being infected, or who got infected during the last Canadian Armed Forces games. I got a couple of articles there too, and it wasn't just Canadians that might have been affected by said beer bug. There's stories from the Daily Mail and from LifeSite News that indicate that some French troops, some English troops, and some Americans were affected too somehow. I guess there was the Armed Forces game that they had in China there back in 2019, back of October 2019, a few months before the pandemic hit North American shores and went full-born ridiculous there last March. Anyway, I'll leave the links in the description for you too. And this fan was really concerned that I didn't make a story of it quick enough. My apologies, but I want to tell my fans too that when I put my episodes together, I put them together on my terms. Okay? Now, as much as I want to help people, as much as I want to reach out and expose stupidity and buffoonery, and of course, polar vortex bullshit, you got to let me do my thing, folks, okay? Right? I put this together on my terms, on my time, and I work very hard at it. So I got a couple of comments there on one of my other pages from a couple of the concerned fans that were worried that I was not putting enough time and effort into their stories. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I work alone here, so I don't have the opportunity of a staff to go out and find information for me. I do my research, and I'm grateful that I've had a couple of fans send me some great research too. But in the same sense, okay, don't tell me what to write, what to say, when to post, when to do this, when to do that. Okay, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. All right, so I'm doing it now. So make a long story short, there's a lot of stories out there about some of our troops and our allies getting sick while they were in Wuhan during the Armed Forces games. So it's something to ponder. So I'll leave links in the description for you, ladies and gentlemen, to read and decide for yourselves. But the similarities are there from people just getting certain symptoms, feeling dizzy, lightheaded, a flu bug, basically, the burps and the shits. Go figure, right? Something to ponder. What was going on? Why was it brought here? It makes you think who's in charge. And then you put those series of events together, then you collaborate the series of events that happen in the United States and in Canada roughly the same time. A few people getting sick, one person dying, two people dying, and then all of a sudden it's affecting the elderly. Interesting. So something to think about, right? It's obvious that the powers that be knew before this. They knew what was going on, but they just failed to react, right? Even Patty Haydu admitted, we knew something, but we didn't really think it was a big deal. Right? Well, guess again. Look at it now. That thing that's not a big deal has compromised the economy of this country and compromised the economy of other countries. But my focus right now, ladies and gentlemen, is on Canada. As much as I feel for my friends in the United States and in Britain and in Europe, especially in Eastern Europe, right? It's turning to a shit show. So all the more reasons to call an election and get rid of this garbage that they call leadership, and to put more politicians under their microscope and make sure that they stand by their scruples and their morals too, and do their fucking job. And if information as important as an infection needs to be told, then bloody well fucking let the people know. Instead of sitting there hiding it for the sake of lining your own goddamn pockets or what you think is safety. Oh, yes, of course, safety is paramount.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
Yes, coming back to Crusty Canuck episode 111, integrity. Where did it go? Well, like I said earlier, we're not getting those examples anymore, right? Like I mentioned too, I got a phone call from a solicitor or someone soliciting funds for the sake of their political party, and they just wouldn't fucking stop. And I got to a point where I almost had to be rude to the individual at the telephone. Now, I don't like doing that, you know, but we all loathe telemarketers too, honestly, you know. God, of course, I got the typical Microsoft phone call. Is your computer running? Oh, this is Microsoft. We have some security issues. Yeah, sure you do, Buckeye. And I'm starting to think that everyone's soliciting funds now for political parties and doing the same thing. But I don't know what to think, honestly. Which brings me to probably my final point of today's episode, too, would be the VCP, Veterans Coalition Party, ladies and gentlemen. I myself am a candidate for the Crowfoot Battle River riding. Once we get the green light to go, I'll be out getting signatures and all that from the citizens and private citizens alike. I want us to give me a permission slip to get out into the world of politics and campaign for a seat in our beloved federal parliament to represent this riding to the best of my ability. Now, I'm not going to call you up and solicit for funds to support the party. If you want to support the party, please feel free to on your own accord. I'll leave the email in the description. You can look at what we stand for. Basically, common sense, pragmatism, clean water for all. We have an environmental regulation. Common sense gun laws, looking after the seniors, looking after pensioners, looking after the First Nations properly, treating them like regular human beings, like you and I. Simple things like that. And possibly cutting the pay of some of these individuals that claim all these ridiculous perks and privileges, all in the name of because they have a position, and yet they have nothing to show for it. So think about that, ladies and gentlemen, too, when it comes to this election time. Like I say, I'll leave links in the description. And when it comes for integrity, we all have to carry it one way or the other, you know, from getting up, finding a job, to doing what you can to help your kids and your loved ones, to doing what you can to help your wife, your mother, your parents, your two parents, your two dads, your two moms, whatever dynamic you live in. Okay? Let's stop buying this race-baiting bullshit. Let's stop buying this gender bullshit. Okay? You know, let's start looking at things for what they are. Let's start looking at people for what they are. Yes, we are all imperfect. Okay? Every politician is imperfect. There are some good ones and there's some bad ones. There are great leaders and there are bad leaders. However, the example we have today is proving nothing but fucking incompetence at its highest. And they're about as transparent as a fart, all big and stinky, then they just disappear. Right? You know, we're not being lenient. And we're being too lenient when it comes to how they're treating the Auditor General and when it comes to spending here. And the federal Liberals have just tried to borrow more money to create more of a debt ceiling for us, which means more taxes and more things being cut off and more of our ability of thriving gets compromised. So people are getting pissed, ladies and gentlemen. People are getting mad. This Canuck is mad. I'm trying to contain myself to the best of my ability without snapping and losing whatever hair I have left. But I don't know. I'm at a crossroads here. Sanity or insanity? Well, I've been insane once. I guess that's not so bad. No, I'll just shake out of it. And these are the same people, too, that bring C7 to the table, where if you feel like checking out, you can. It'll be assisted suicide for you. And another bill that was brought to my attention, too, Bill C6, where, let's say, therapists cannot... Basically, what I understand about C6 is a bill where if you bring your kids to a therapist, and let's say your kid's having a problem with their gender or whatever, therapists more or less can't promote their professional opinion. So basically, it's like a censorship issue, right? You know, I don't know. I have to look at it too, but I'll leave links in the description for you to decide too, where I understand a C6. Mind you, I'm probably going off a bit of hearsay here, but it doesn't look too promising. So not only do they want to take more money and say they're doing it for the environment when they're lining their pockets, they're also trying to guide what little kids have to be and how they can be, right? And they're going to try to guide you and tell me and you and your friends and neighbors that if you want to check out, oh yeah, you can check out. Great policy, eh? Great leadership. Yeah, what a great bunch of fucking people to sit there and tell you how to live your life, eh? Yeah, not too promising when it comes to trying to understand and for people to try to get along in this day and age here. We got an opioid crisis going full retard. We've got a lot of people getting hurt other ways than just domestically, you know. And I laugh when they say gender-based violence, because domestic violence goes both ways. There are women out there that hit their husbands just as much as there are husbands out there that hit their wives, okay? And there are other domestic partnerships, too, that involve someone getting beat up and getting hurt on a regular basis. And I know that from personal experience, ladies and gentlemen. Witnessing a good friend of mine go through absolute hell because her girlfriend couldn't be honest with her. So I'll save that story for another time. But enough of this depression. Enough of this bullshit. Right? There is light at the end of the tunnel, ladies and gentlemen, and there is integrity. I know I made fun of it, but there's integrity in all of us. We have the integrity to thrive. We have the integrity and the ability to get out there and do the right thing. But now we have to stand even fucking harder and firmer. And if we have to raise our voice and point fingers, so be it. Let's just set a better example than Miss McKenna. You know, stomp your feet and say it loud enough. It's not a fucking dance ensemble. It's protecting the way of a life. Protecting our democracy, right? And those individuals that think because you might have a degree in this or a piece of paper in that, or you stood here and stood there and you think your shit don't fucking stink, I got news for you. Because there's a lot of people that I know personally, and yours truly, and a few others, that are going to be more than willing to rub your fucking face in it. The time will come. Like I say, ladies and gentlemen, look after your friends and loved ones. Do what we can to help each other out. You know, I know times are getting tough. You know, go to the food bank, drop a few parcels off. Go to the grocery store, maybe buy some extra groceries for somebody. Help a neighbor out shoveling a bit of snow. Well, the springtime's coming. In my area, we got dumped on there again the other day, but it's starting to clear up. But keep our wits about this, you know. Help our neighbors out. Help each other out to the best of our abilities. Every little thing helps, from opening up a door for someone to saying please and thank you, to showing some courtesy and kindness, and to set a better example than what's being presented us today, every day on the boob tube, on the social media, and just what's there. We're going to do better, folks. I can believe it, and I can see it, too. Anyway, I've been Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 30th of March, 2021. I want to thank all my listeners and subscribers out there who have stood by me this whole time. Please consider donating. I'd like to make this a full-time commitment. Check out my store, Customized Girl. Links will be in the description. Check out the VCP party. And check each other out once in a while, too. Do a buddy check. And I'll leave a number there, too, for people that need help. You know, if you're a veteran or know a veteran that needs assistance, I'll leave an 800 number for you guys to call, too. You know, we got to watch each other's six, ladies and gentlemen, and do what we can to persevere, because we can be a hell of a lot better than those assholes in Ottawa calling the shots. But like I say, look after your friends and loved ones. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, humanity and merit wins the day. I'll see you next time, and stay tuned for my Thursday fastball coming this Thursday. Guest to be determined. Take care. Bye for now.
Well, no shit. What have we got here? A fucking comedian, private joker. I admire your honesty. I am hard, but I am fair. There is no racial bigotry here. Because I am hard, you will not like me. But the more you hate me, the more you will learn. And you maggots understand that. Now get up! Get on your feet! I'll be watching you.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.